5 weeks, and I've been calling him Opus like I know him, but I don't know him. But he said, call me Opus if you'd like. But I think you're right about this. How did you become Opus?
Just call me. But so my real name's Christian Lawrence, but my nickname is Opus. And the story about how Opus came about was actually in the book, and it's pretty funny. It started off as an insult for those of you guys who don't know. And it's written in the foreword by my good friend Kai Blackwood, who I grew up with in playing in bands, some of my first bands, and he wrote an amazing foreword that actually brought a tear in my eye when I read it. And it tells about the story about how one night at band practice, everyone came in and they said, hey, we want all you guys to go home and think of good names and come back in the morning with a list of names that you guys think would be good for your band. And I came in and I said my first choice was Opus. Little did I know there was a 70s band that was already named Opus that I had no idea about. But I thought it was cool, it was music related and all that stuff. It was one word like this. And I thought it was cool. The rest of the band definitely did not think it was cool. And they started laughing immediately. I was a chubby kid, as you guys probably remember. And they started calling me Opus. They said, hey, you know, you're Opus, the chubby penguin. That's what you are, from Blue County. And so it started as an insult. And the funny thing about it was I embraced it and I said, okay, well, they're going to keep calling me this, whatever, you know. So people started catching on, and because it was a one-word name, like, you know, like Ozzy or whatever, people started remembering it. So I would go out places and people would be like, Opus, and I'd have to think for a second. I'd be like, wait a minute, who's that? I'm like, oh, that's me, that's right. And it's funny, you know, people talk about Opus to me still to this day. I mean, I have friends here in this room that probably witnessed it. They're like, that Opus guy, I'm like, yeah, he's a jerk, man. He's a total jerk. But anyway, so back in the day, they started calling me that as an insult. And basically what I did, I took a negative and made it a positive. And when I started booking the band at age 13, I used my real name, Christian Lawrence, as like the manager. I would call up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so Christian Lawrence. I'm trying to book this gig. And then when I would show up, I would be Opus on stage.
Where's Christian?
So a stage name.
He's coming.
So basically, you know, thanks, Dan. Way to make an entrance, buddy. Start over. So basically, an insult ended up being one of my great powers, in a sense, because it helped me sort of separate the business from the stage, and it just caught on, and so that's why, you know, to this day, I didn't give it to myself, which is a cool thing for a nickname, because usually nicknames are, you know, people, I want to be called this, you know. So even my mother started calling me Opus after a while. It's pretty funny, but some guys don't. Like, some guys rather call me, like David Ellison, you know, the former Megadeth bass player. He likes my name, Christian, so he always calls me Christian.
And he talks about that in the book.
Yeah, he talks about it. So some people like the name, and they refuse to call me Opus, but I don't care. As long as you call me, it's all that.
All right, thanks for clearing that up.
But that's in the book.
The first time I sent him an email, I'm like, Christian, try with Opus and see how this works. All right, if you want, we can start with that. I think this is one of the first passages we talked about that I think kind of like...
You're going to make me read now, huh?
If you want to, if you don't, I'll read.
No, I'll read.
I'll read too.
So this pertains to the whole idea of what the book is kind of about. It's a lot easier to make sacrifices on the road, in your social life, in your checkbook, and in your relationships, if you believe there's a big pot of gold waiting around the next corner. If you could if it could fuel you forward to say and do and think in the manner that you might not typically do. As you start to turn the corner after corner without a payoff, you start asking yourself, what the are you doing? All of us musicians do. That's not a sellout thing, that's a quitter mentality thing. That's not an egomaniac thing. In fact, it's the opposite. Think about it. None of us career musicians say, I'm going to stop being creative and go live a normal life. That's not in our blood. We just adjust our lives. Maybe we don't tour, or we form cover bands to make money, or we record ourselves, or we build a studio, or a million other things that allow us to remain active, exercising those brain muscles. You have to be a bit mad to face constant rejection and ridicule and unpaid bills and broken promises and shattered dreams every day, and maintain the attitude that things are good and you made a good choice of career, and your choice of career is healthy, excuse me. There's no shame in throwing in the towel or or changing directions or choosing a real job over a fantasy or accepting a stable life with a wife and kids, weekend barbecues, watching the game with your boys, and all that stuff. That's what a sane, smart, well-adjusted person probably should decide makes the most sense for themselves. Not me. My body aches some nights after shows. I don't have a retirement plan. I might never be a household name. But I'm sure as shit not stopping. There are no delusions of grandeur. Success is mental, is often tied to how long you can how long you can gut it out as you grow your fan base. Metallica took years to get their first taste of money. Megadeth starved, literally starved, as they toured and recorded and promoted those first couple of albums. And those are two of the biggest names out of the Big Four. Big Four meaning top 4 metal bands in the world. There are hundreds of bands on the circuit still paying dues. Day after day, tour after tour, record after record. Perseverance is key. Consistency is a must. Now that is a huge, huge, huge point. Persistence is, and that doesn't go just for the music industry. That goes for anything in life. Anything you want in life, persistence. Right? You guys agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the key of the whole book right here.
That's
When I
awesome.
break when I'm dead, meaning I'm going to take a break, but not till, guess
Right.
what?
Why am I stopping? This is what I'm doing.
Guess what?
And that's a good segue. That is one of my favorite